What if I told you that the rosary hanging in your room right now might be the source of the strange tension in your family? This isn't superstition or fear-mongering. It comes directly from Saint Padre Pio, who was known for his spiritual discernment and supernatural gifts. Just last week, a woman shared her experience with me. Her family was falling apart, constant arguments, unexplained illnesses, and a heavy atmosphere clouding their home. After watching a video about spiritual interference, she decided to examine the black antique rosary hanging in her bedroom, which she had bought at an estate sale. Out of caution, she removed it. What happened next shocked her. Within days, peace returned, arguments subsided, and even her children started sleeping better. Padre Pio, the stigmatized saint known for his extraordinary gifts, left behind a spiritual warning that few Catholics today are aware of. He cautioned about 3 specific types of rosaries that can unknowingly become conduits for spiritual distortion. Ironically, these are often the most attractive, unique, or antique rosaries that catch our eyes in shops or online stores. Today, you're going to learn which colors and types Padre Pio warned against, why these seemingly holy objects can carry harmful spiritual residue, and how to recognize the 6 signs of a spiritually compromised rosary. The third type he warned about is particularly alarming, as it's now commonly found in modern Catholic households without anyone suspecting the danger. If you believe in the spiritual wisdom of Padre Pio, take this message seriously. After hearing his insights, you'll never look at a rosary the same way again. The rosary is not merely a string of beads for recitation. It is a spiritual weapon of immense power in the Catholic life. When used with sincere devotion, it becomes a chain of prayer that connects us to the Blessed Virgin Mary, and through her, to Christ himself. Since it was revealed to St. Dominic in the 13th century, the rosary has been associated with countless spiritual victories, miraculous conversions, and divine interventions. Yet, this very power is what makes the rosary vulnerable to distortion and misuse. St. Padre Pio, who was gifted with supernatural abilities such as reading souls and bilocation, also had the unique spiritual discernment to sense the hidden influences carried by seemingly harmless religious objects. Many pilgrims who visited San Giovanni Rotondo were stunned when Padre Pio refused to bless certain items they brought. In some cases, he even instructed people to discard them entirely, not out of superstition, but because he discerned a spiritual impurity within them. One striking story involved a woman from Naples who came to Padre Pio with what appeared to be a normal rosary. Before she could even speak, Padre Pio recoiled and said, "Take that thing away. It was not made for prayer." Later investigation revealed that the rosary had been previously used in occult rituals, but was disguised to look like a Catholic sacramental. From such incidents, Padre Pio shared a crucial spiritual truth. Not everything that looks holy is truly sacred. In today's world, where religious objects are mass-produced and sold as fashion items or souvenirs, this warning becomes even more urgent. We must not treat sacramentals lightly. They are meant to be conduits of grace, not decorations. And if they've been misused or come from unclear origins, they may carry with them spiritual residue that interferes with the peace and protection that genuine sacramentals are meant to provide.
So which rosaries exactly did Padre Pio warn against? According to him, there are 3 specific types that may carry hidden spiritual dangers, not because of their outer appearance alone, but due to their history, usage, and intention behind their creation. And the most concerning part? These rosaries are often beautiful, ornate, and rare, the kind that easily catch our attention in antique shops or as gifts. But beneath that beauty, they may have been involved in non-Christian rituals, or crafted with spiritual confusion in mind. The first type, entirely black rosaries. While black can symbolize penance or mourning in Catholic tradition, Padre Pio warned that all black rosaries are sometimes used in esoteric or occult rituals. Many of these rosaries, especially those bought secondhand or at estate sales, may have been previously involved in non-Christian spiritual practices. Padre Pio described how these objects can become spiritual conductors of negative energy. One story tells of a woman who experienced constant nightmares and emotional heaviness, despite frequent prayer and confession. When she met Padre Pio, he asked about the dark object by her bedside. It turned out to be a black rosary with a silver crucifix purchased from an antique shop. Padre Pio told her it had been consecrated for dark purposes. After disposing of it, her spiritual symptoms disappeared. The second type, blood red rosaries. While red traditionally represents the blood of Christ, Padre Pio encountered red rosaries that had been used in rituals involving blood pacts or spiritual blending of non-Christian elements. He warned that such rosaries, even if later blessed, may retain spiritual residue that causes disturbance. One family hung an antique red rosary in their prayer room. Shortly after, the father became unusually angry, the children couldn't sleep, and the house felt tense. Padre Pio revealed that the rosary had been used in rituals that combined Catholic prayer with invocations to other entities. After removing it and having the house blessed, peace returned. The third type, multicolored, unconventional rosaries. These are the most dangerous today. Often made from unusual materials and adorned with symbols like the evil eye or non-Christian emblems, these rosaries may appear eclectic or inclusive, but they represent spiritual confusion. Padre Pio emphasized that prayer tools must be pure in intention and form. Blending elements from incompatible beliefs disrupts the spiritual clarity we need when connecting with God. So how can we discern whether a rosary in our possession may carry negative spiritual influence? According to St. Padre Pio, you don't need to possess his supernatural gifts. Every Catholic can practice spiritual discernment by paying attention to clear signs and being spiritually vigilant. First, examine the origin of the rosary. Rosaries that come from unknown sources, secondhand shops, flea markets, or given by people with unclear faith backgrounds, should be approached with caution. Ask yourself, where did this come from? Who made it? Has it been blessed by a priest? Second, pay attention to your inner response when you hold or pray with the rosary. A properly blessed and spiritually pure rosary brings peace, focus, and a sense of connection with God. But if you consistently feel uneasy, distracted, spiritually dry, or disturbed, especially when using a particular rosary, that may be a spiritual red flag. Third, inspect the symbols and design. Traditional rosaries are simple, featuring a crucifix and 5 decades of beads. If a rosary contains odd or unfamiliar symbols, such as evil eye charms, stars, crystals, or abstract geometric patterns, it may be a product of spiritual syncretism. Padre Pio warned that such hybrid rosaries can carry spiritual static, interrupting prayer and clarity. Fourth, consider the materials used. While rosaries can be made from wood, glass, or metal, Padre Pio cautioned against those made from bones, certain crystals, or unknown metals, which are often used in occult practices. These materials may retain energies from prior rituals, even after time has passed. Fifth, observe how children or animals in your household react. Padre Pio and many accounts from the faithful testify that children and pets have heightened spiritual sensitivity. If a child suddenly avoids a certain room, acts frightened around a rosary, or if pets become agitated near it, take it as a potential warning. Sixth, assess the impact on your spiritual life and home atmosphere. Many cases documented by Padre Pio involve people experiencing prolonged spiritual dryness, marital discord, or even financial turmoil, all stemming from a rosary with a dark history. After the object was removed and the home was blessed, peace and clarity were restored. However, Padre Pio also emphasized, do not act out of fear or superstition. God's power is infinitely greater than any dark influence. If you suspect a rosary may be spiritually compromised, bring it to a priest. The Church provides rituals of blessing and exorcism for objects. In some cases, Padre Pio recommended complete disposal, but only by following the proper spiritual procedures. Above all, he taught that it is not the beauty or rarity of the rosary that matters, but the sincerity of the heart that uses it. A simple wooden rosary, blessed and prayed with love, is more spiritually powerful than the most ornate or expensive one used without faith. Padre Pio called the rosary the weapon for our times. But like any weapon, it must be clean, properly used, and wielded with humility and faith. The more we understand the sacred purpose of the rosary, the more effectively it becomes a channel of God's grace, protecting not just us, but our entire homes and families. After everything Padre Pio revealed, the most important question is, what should you do if you suspect that a rosary you own is spiritually compromised? The first step he advised is to conduct a careful inventory of all religious objects in your home, especially rosaries that are old, purchased secondhand, received as gifts from people with unclear spiritual backgrounds, or those with unusual colors, materials, or designs. Ask yourself, where did this come from? Who made it? Has it ever been blessed? How do I feel when I pray with it? If you discover that a rosary matches one of the three types Padre Pio warned about, black, blood red, or hybrid multicolored, do not continue using it casually. Instead, bring it to a trusted priest, ideally one experienced in spiritual matters. The priest can bless the item again, offer discernment, and determine whether it should be kept or removed. If, after prayer, you still feel uneasy or spiritually disturbed by a particular rosary, Padre Pio urged people to get rid of it with reverence. But because it is a sacramental, even if misused, you must never discard it like ordinary trash. Take it to a priest, who can perform the proper prayers and destroy it respectfully, often by burning and burying the remains with prayer. Above all, remember Padre Pio's wisdom. The power of the rosary lies not in its external form, but in the faith, reverence, and love of the one who prays with it. When a rosary is used with humility and devotion, it becomes a mighty weapon against darkness, bringing peace not only to your soul, but to your entire household. After removing spiritually compromised rosaries, many people report a profound shift, as if a heavy curtain has been lifted from their homes and hearts. The tension eases, arguments fade, and sleep returns peacefully. This is the fruit of purifying your sacred space, a truth St. Padre Pio strongly emphasized. We must guard our homes as we guard our own souls. But creating a truly safe and spiritually sound environment requires more than just discarding questionable items. Padre Pio taught that we must also rebuild and strengthen our spiritual life, starting with the rosary. One of his most practical pieces of advice was this: choose a rosary that is simple, but from a trustworthy source, ideally handcrafted by religious communities where the object is born from a spirit of prayer. Rosaries made of wood, clear glass, or traditional metals were often preferred by Padre Pio. Most importantly, before using any rosary, have it blessed by a priest. This blessing is what transforms it into a genuine sacramental, a channel of divine grace. He also recommended placing a blessed rosary at the entrance of your home and at your bedside, not as superstitious charms, but as signs of prayer and protection, shields of light, to remind and anchor your soul in faith. But remember, the rosary is not a magic item. Its power does not come from the beads, but from faith-filled prayer. Padre Pio once said, "A rosary hung on a wall will not protect you, but a rosary prayed with love can shatter darkness." More than anything, he urged the faithful to build a living relationship with the rosary, not as a backup plan when trouble arises, but as a daily habit, a spiritual rhythm of life. Just as he himself was known to pray the rosary almost continuously throughout the day, Padre Pio believed this simple devotion was one of the most effective weapons against evil. He would say, "The rosary is the weapon for these times." But like any weapon, it must be wielded with knowledge, reverence, and faith. A gun lying unused won't protect you. Likewise, a rosary sitting on a shelf will not bring peace unless it is lifted in prayer. After hearing all of Padre Pio's warnings and wisdom, one question remains, a deeply personal one. Are you living with your rosary, or merely owning it? If you've already experienced healing or peace through the rosary, a miracle, a spiritual renewal, or a subtle transformation, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Because sometimes your simple testimony might be the light that helps another family escape a spiritual darkness they never even recognized. Although Padre Pio has long since gone to be with the Lord, his warnings and teachings continue to echo powerfully in the spiritual lives of Catholics today. He not only pointed out the hidden dangers of distorted or spiritually contaminated rosaries, but more importantly, he showed us a path of light, a return to simplicity, sincerity, and deep reverence for God in all things, including the objects we use in prayer. In today's world, where materialism reigns and sacred symbols are often commercialized, many people choose rosaries based on appearance, as fashion statements, decorations, or souvenirs, rather than as instruments of prayer.
Some collect dozens in different colors to match outfits or decorate prayer corners with little thought about their origin or spiritual value. Padre Pio called this a dangerous misunderstanding, warning that when sacred objects are reduced to aesthetic accessories, they lose their spiritual purpose and may even become doorways to confusion or interference. He reminded us, "The power does not lie in the beads, but in the faith. Not the color will save you, but the prayer of a humble heart." So rather than obsess over what color rosary to use or what material it's made of, the most important question is, what is your inner disposition when you pray with it? When you hold a rosary, are you truly entering a sacred conversation with God through the Blessed Mother, or just mechanically repeating words? Padre Pio constantly encouraged his spiritual children to cultivate a living relationship with the rosary. Don't wait for crisis to strike before you pick it up. Don't treat it as a last resort when everything else fails. The rosary should become your spiritual breath, a daily rhythm of prayer and presence with God. Padre Pio himself was said to pray the rosary almost continuously from morning to night. "The rosary is the weapon for these times," he insisted. But a weapon only works if you know how to use it, and actually do. A sword hanging on a wall can't defend you, and a rosary that sits unused, gathering dust, will never bring peace to your soul or home. After all the warnings and teachings of St. Padre Pio, one personal question remains for each of us to answer. Are you truly living with the rosary? Or are you just keeping it around? Now that you have heard all of Padre Pio's teachings, warnings, and stories, the final and most important question is this: are you truly living your faith through the rosary? Or are you just possessing it? Padre Pio never gave these warnings to scare us. He didn't want Catholics to live in fear or superstition. His goal was always to awaken us, to call us into a deeper, more conscious, and more reverent life of prayer. He wanted us to see the rosary not as a decoration or a habit, but as a living bridge between the soul and heaven. He reminded us that the rosary is not a charm. It is not magic. It's not a necklace or an accessory. It is a spiritual weapon, but only in the hands of a believer. The power of the rosary flows from God's grace, from the prayers of the Blessed Mother, and from the faith and sincerity of the person who prays. If you've been experiencing spiritual dryness, unusual tension at home, or unexplainable restlessness, don't ignore it. Perhaps it's time to look again at the sacramentals you surround yourself with, including the rosaries. If something feels off, bring it to light. Pray about it. Ask your priest. Invite God to cleanse your home and your heart. And if you've experienced the peace and healing that comes from truly living with the rosary, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Because your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to find their way out of darkness. Let your prayer corner be a place of light. Let the rosary return to its rightful place, not on a shelf, not as a souvenir, but in your hands and in your heart. The rosary is the weapon for our times, Padre Pio said. Use it with love, with reverence, and with faith.